Welcome you all here to Comic-Con 1999. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce to you the actress of the Blair Witch Project, Miss Heather Donahue. Ladies and gentlemen, I will be over towards the back of the room, over here by the door. I would ask that 10 people at a time come up to me and come up here, and I'll get your questions, and Ms. Donahue can answer them for you.
What was in the twigs?
And the twigs, before I get you specifically what was in the twigs, with the twigs, when I initially throw them away from the tent, I was actually done with them at that point, and Mike and I hiked away from the campsite, and the production designer, Ben Rock, stopped me, and he said, "You gotta go back and open the twigs, man. It's my favorite gag in the whole movie." And this is a guy who did makeup on like Bloodsport 2, you know, so I knew this had to be as big a gore fest as this movie was ever gonna be. So we went back, and I opened it up, and then so we do that whole scene. And inside the twigs was hair, blood, and teeth. And it was actual teeth that they had gotten from the Maryland dentist. So it was actual human teeth to add to the cinema verite feel.
Hi, Heather.
Hi.
You look better with makeup.
Turn on, make it ugly.
I didn't mean that the way that it sounded. Please tell me that as actors you signed a contract that allowed for a share of the profits.
It's a small one. Teeny. Small. Yeah, little. Wee, as the Scottish might say.
Hey, I haven't actually seen the film, but I understand it's making people...
Sit down! Okay, so go ahead.
I understand the film was making people severely nauseous and motion sickness. I was wondering if that was intentional.
No, I mean, had I known that it was ever going to be on large screens, I probably would have tried to hold the camera a little bit steadier. I thought that maybe I'd have a video copy to watch with my friends. That's sort of where I saw the film going. And so I wasn't as conscious as I would have been today, learning the lessons I've learned about shaky camera work. But I do recommend that if you start to feel a little sick, that maybe you leave for a couple minutes, come back, take some Dramamine or something like that.
Is it true that most of your acting was improvisational? I mean, were you giving a very vague script, or is it also true that you were sent bottles with notes on what to argue about the next day, or?
Right, it wasn't bottles. It was actually, when you drop off 35mm still film in those little plastic containers? There were 3 of those in a milk crate, and we would find this milk crate through a global positioning system, sort of like what they use in the North Star car system, the satellite navigation. The Haxton guys that made the film would program waypoints into that little GPS unit. We would find these milk crates at those waypoints, and inside would be those 3 little cans, each with our names on them. We opened them up, we would read our notes, we weren't allowed to show them to each other. So as the day progressed, we would sort of improvise around this story structure that the Haxton guys had provided. And from there, we would come up with scenes. We would go beyond what they'd given us. We would create scenes and basically take these characters to places that the directors didn't even think they would go. We could just go wherever we wanted. And that's part of the appeal was to me initially, when I read the ad in Backstage, I saw an improvised feature. I mean, as an actor, you just never get that kind of freedom. So that was really fun.
Okay, now going off of what you just said, I've got 2 questions, but so did you guys know that he had kicked the map in the water?
No, actually, Mike came up with that himself. That wasn't even in the notes.
And when you opened...
People still slap him about that on a regular basis when they meet him. Yeah. You idiot! What'd you do that?
When you opened up the thing and you found the teeth and blood, did Mike know about that? Because it was kind of unclear if he actually knew that you had opened it and saw that.
No, the thing that I thought of at that time was it would be more effective for me at that point because Mike was already breaking down. I thought that my character should really keep trying to hold things together and not give up yet, because she had hope until that confessional scene that they were going to find the car and get out of there. And I think that's then what sort of led into the confessional scene as well, that after trying to hold it together and not giving up hope for so many days, when you can finally just release it and let it go, you can open up those floodgates and they just won't close.
I'd like to say first, it's good to see you alive.
Thank you. Good to be alive.
How did you get reeled into this in the beginning?
I read an ad in Backstage in New York where I was living at the time, and it said an improvised feature film shot in a wooded location. It was going to be hell, and most of you who are reading this probably shouldn't even come. I mean, they used every possible deterrent. When we actually got to the audition, there was another sign that they had put up saying, we want natural people. If you've done improv before, which I had, and a lot of that like wacky improv stuff, they were like, if that's the kind of improv you've done in the past, we probably don't want you. We want people who can behave completely naturally and can basically act in extreme circumstances, and if you don't like that, go away. And then even when we got into the room, Dan Myrick, one of the directors, was the one who auditioned me, and he said, you've served 7 years of a 9-year sentence, why should we let you out on parole? And that was the audition. Like, no monologue, no scene, no cold reading, just go off of that and create a character and create a story about that without thinking for a second. That's improv. Imagine.
Hi, Heather.
Hi.
I have 2 questions for you.
Okay.
First of all, I love the movie. It freaked me out. I really didn't sleep well after that movie.
Good.
But, first question is, when Mike was in the corner, was he, apparently, I didn't tell me he was dead, but was he just hanging there? Or there was a noose originally that I saw in the corner.
I honestly don't even know what that's supposed to say there. Yeah, I guess. I wasn't even sure initially whether I was supposed to have gotten that on film. Like, I think I was supposed to have bypassed Mike altogether and that he was never even supposed to be in the frame. Right, but that was added in later, after people couldn't quite figure out what the hell was going on at the end. So then they clarified it with the man with the little backwards baseball cap. He tells the story of how Rustin Parr would bring the children 2 by 2 into the basement and would basically eviscerate one while the other watched and listened and was basically psychologically tormented.
And the second question is, I've heard several rumors about Blair Witch 2. Is there any?
I've actually heard rumors about Blair Witch 2, 3, 4, and 5. Recycling. It's good for people to do for the environment.
Hi Heather, I have 2 questions for you. The first is, I saw the special on Sci-Fi first, and I found that to be a hell of a lot more freaky than the actual movie. So I was curious when that was produced. And then the second question is, going back to your improv, how much detail did they tell you about your character? Because did they tell you to be annoying? Because I found it
I just missed that part. What was the last part?
Well, no, you were so annoying I wanted to strangle you after like 20 minutes.
Right.
How they were able to me from it.
Well, my character of Blair Witch I actually based on on an independent female filmmaker who shall remain nameless. That I actually did my first movie out of college in, and a lot of these women are a very strange breed, and because I think it is even now looking at being a woman in LA and in the whole Hollywood structure. To be taken seriously and not just as a mindless little bimbo, you have to work extra hard and you have to prove yourself doubly. It's not as easy. And I think that's part of what fuels my character in the movie, is that she has this job to do, and you're either with her or against her. And if you don't want to play, you shouldn't have come to the party, Damn it. And so yeah, she definitely grates on my nerves too. I can't even watch it without getting sick of the sound of my own voice. So.
I also saw the documentary, and after seeing it, I had pretty high expectations it was going to be just like mind-boggling scary. And when I went to it, it really didn't seem visually scary at all. Going through the whole process of watching the movie, I'm like, well, it seems like a good fictional documentary, but it's not really that scary. I was wondering what was going through your mind when you're looking at the script going, okay, well, how am I going to make it to where these just stick figures in the trees are going to be scary, and I'm going to be scared of these rocks on the floor, or what's going to have to go through my mind to make this scary when in reality it doesn't seem that scary.
Exactly, and I think a lot of the horror genre stamp that's been put on the movie now sort of came with the marketing. I didn't think that I was making a horror movie at the time, actually. I felt more like a psychological thriller or something like that, that you just, it's scary, but it's not, I don't know, it was different. I don't know. I don't know.
Hey Heather, there's always a few naysayers, and I'm wondering, how many batteries were you guys really carrying?
Well, I have to tell you, the weight of the pack was mostly batteries. There were a lot of batteries.
So you had enough batteries in
No.
real life?
No. Yeah. At the waypoints, there would be batteries that we could pick up. I mean, we just didn't have the budget to afford to have that many fully charged batteries floating around. We had to drop them off and have them recharged and stuff.
How much of the pre-release media attention do you think accounted for the popularity of the film?
The pre-release video, I have to tell you, I don't think that was part of their marketing plan, as far as I know. I know they were pretty vigilant about trying to keep control of those pre-release videos that were basically bootlegs.
Actually, I was speaking more specifically about like the flyers that were released on campus.
Oh, those kinds of things. Oh, what did you want to know about those? Sorry?
Well, I was wondering how much of that do you think accounted for the popularity of the film?
Oh, I think it helped enormously. I think it created buzz in all the right places, I mean, because it is basically a Gen X movie, and that was the place to find those people, So I guess it's so hard to go back now and think of what it would be with or without any of the elements that have made it what it is. You can't really look back in retrospect and think, oh, what would it be without the website, or what would it be without Sundance, or what, you can't take away any of the pieces now and expect to sort of figure out what it could have been or would have been. You have to accept what it is.
Did you write the journal, or was that written
No, I
just
wrote
by
that.
the guys? You wrote it?
Yeah, I wrote that. That's neat.
Yes, I'd like to know how much involvement you had with the website and the updates on that. Are you still working on that and helping them out?
None, no. I was hired as an actress. I spent basically 8 days working on this film, and that was about it until now with all the press and that kind of stuff.
Sorry. I got two questions for you, Heather. What are you currently doing, and are you dating anyone at the moment?
I have a boyfriend of 4.5 years. Yes, I do. And currently, I'm reading stuff and going on auditions and meeting studio executives and driving around town and doing stuff. It's very, I've gone through a pretty bizarre, life-altering time over the last 3 weeks, so I'm still adjusting. It's like really bad jet lag of the whole being. It's bizarre. My life is truly bizarre.
My question is regarding the wonderful confession scene. I'm wondering, was that your idea or was that the director's idea? And as an actor, performer, how did you psych yourself up for that?
That was, the note that I got for the confessional scene was that I had to, basically I was going to die and I had to make amends to all the people that I hurt to try and die with as clear a conscience as possible. And I think the thing that really came out of was, like I said earlier, the release. If you're trying to hold something together for so many days, I know a lot of actors draw on personal experience and things like that, but that's never really worked for me because it distracts me from the moment that I'm supposed to be playing in. And I find that being able to surrender to that, to the fictional circumstances and thinking like, okay, now you, for the last 6 to 8 days, have been holding it in, holding it in, holding it in, holding it in, and now you can just go, and then it just comes, you know? And all the words were mine.
Hi Heather, I saw you at Sundance, it was great. I haven't seen the re-release of it yet. My question is, how much of the stuff on Sci-Fi is like post-production, made after the movie?
Well, that's an interesting question, actually. Because the film itself was supposed to look more like the Sci-Fi special initially. The footage that me, Mike, and Josh shot was only supposed to comprise about 20 minutes of the film to 30 minutes of the film. And it was supposed to be filled in the rest with interviews with the sheriff, talking about whether we were still alive when we were just runaways. So they had all these different conspiracy theories that they were putting around as a framework for our footage. And after they edited some of that together, they decided that it just didn't work, and they left our footage as the whole narrative.
Hi, Heather.
Hi.
I had a question. Actually, I had 2 questions. One, what is the pile of rocks outside of the tent? What is that supposed to mean?
Ooh, scary.
Okay. If you see a haunted house and you notice that there are nooses and handprints on the wall, why do you stay in there?
Isn't that one of the finer points of the horror genre? How else would the audience ever get to scream at the screen saying, "Don't go in there! What are you, stupid?" You know, it's a convention of the genre. I never would have gone in the first place, but there you go. You got a job to do. Hi.
Hi, he's waiting for him. My name is Victor from the Comic Book Connection, and I wanted to mention 2 things. First of all, you have natural beauty, contrary to what that first gentleman had mentioned previously. Born from a very lucky guy. And second thing, what you were mentioning about the psychological thriller, which is, I think, really the problem with the people, because I've encountered people who hate the movie, people who love the movie. People who love the movie have an imagination, people who hate the movie really didn't. We're looking for something gory.
Or they just got nauseous, which is a completely legitimate thing as well.
The only other thing I wanted to know was, are you looking to do anything more in that genre, or are you trying to break out of it now so you don't get stereotyped?
I think it's a hard genre that if you do more than one film, and even if you do one successful film in it, it is hard to continue to have variety over the course of a career. I think, because I mean, I'm a theater actress. This is a new game to me. And I've always enjoyed a great deal of variety. I've done everything, comedies and dramas and Shakespeare and Moliere and all kinds of different things. And I don't really want to stop that now. I'd like to keep doing a lot of different things that keep me challenged. That's the most important thing to me.
One of the most horrifying, frightening things about the movie is the sound. I was just curious, was the screaming and moaning of Josh when we were looking for him, was that done on site, off camera, or was that added in later in post-production?
That was done on site, off camera. Actually, Josh, lucky bastard, got to go back to New York when he disappeared. You know, like the rest of me and mine. We're still sitting there, you know, scratching our dirty scalps for the next 3 days. You know? And so they actually had him record that on a tape, and they had it in a boombox, and we're playing it down the path, yeah. Hot meals and, you know, showering.
Hi, Heather.
Hi.
I love the movie. I'm just now starting to get to sleep at night, but my nightlight's still on.
Sleep is good.
I'm actually from Alexandria, Virginia. I'm about an hour and a half away from Burkittsville. And I was just curious, in the beginning when you all talked about how it was documented about that man who took the children, and killed them 2 by 2, I was wondering if that is actually true, because I actually thought I heard something about that actually being true.
I'm sure you will hear a lot more about that being true as time progresses as well. I think that one of the things about this movie is that it's already started to play into urban legend, and it's become a weird pop cultural phenomenon for some reason. I imagine it will continue to grow, especially as they bring out those sequels. I'm actually not Heather Donahue. I'm a robotic replica made to look and sound just like her, except cuter and more marketable.
Hi, Heather. I wanted to, well, first of all, it's a pleasure to see you in person, and I wanted to commend you on an Oscar-worthy performance. Really
Not
is.
backstage, that'd be a first.
I really thought that you were the star of the movie, and I read an article recently about how Josh, I believe, already got a deal with Robert De Niro, and I wondered...
And Cuba Gooding Jr., Navy divers. I mean,
Yeah. And considering that, I mean, your performance really carried the bulk of the film, I wondered why you weren't already, having just loads of offers coming for you.
I have. The thing is, as a woman, there's a big difference. There really is. And it depends on where you want to go with your career. And frankly, I'm not in a huge hurry. And I know I have a very small window of opportunity where you get to be the flavor of the month girl. And I mean, obviously I want to bank on that, but I also would like to have a career on as much on my terms as I possibly can. And I want to do work that I'm proud of. And if that doesn't happen today, then it doesn't happen.
That's great. I wanted to know the last thing, the success of Blair Witch. Do you think that would finally allow filmmakers to be more risk-taking and creative, to break out of the Hollywood mold that makes for so many drab movies?
I hope to God it does. I mean, the biggest thing that I'm proud of my performance in this movie, but I think the thing that I'm most proud of is that Hollywood just does not even know what to make of this. They are like stunned. I think that's a good thing for underdogs everywhere. You know, that it is possible by some. I mean, the odds of me being struck by lightning were better than me sitting here today talking on you. But it happened anyway. Why? Who knows? Why think about it? Do you know what I mean? Just get out there and make your movie if that's what you want to do. You know, it's better than being tied to a desk, you know?
Heather, it's me again.
Hi.
2 more questions. One, I first heard about the Blair Witch Project 2 months before the actual movie from a link on a website, a link through the website. And since then, I didn't really, after the website I wanted to see it, I didn't see anything else about it afterwards. But is there a reason why that meant to get that publicized, or?
Money?
Okay,
There wasn't a budget for that, period. And that I think is another thing that makes it different. You know, no movie has been marketed using the internet so heavily before. And you can put on a 30-second commercial. People don't spend 30 seconds on a website. They'll spend 30 minutes on a website, and they'll go back the next day and spend another 30 minutes on a website. I was a temp, I know. I had my list of places I spent all damn day. I'll tell you that much. You know? And so that's what makes it like a group thing. And then you have a discussion group on there. People are talking about it. Is it real? Is it not? What is this about? You know?
And last, the actors. As far as everyone knew, that the movie was basically real. Why? And as far as Sci-Fi Channel, everything publicized, everything sound so real. Then why did they go out and publicize that? Oh, it was fake. It's all made up. A lot of people believe that it was a real story.
That'd be kind of irresponsible. And damn it, I want to work. I guess basically would be the bottom line. I'm sure maybe if they could have gotten away with it, they might have tried. But, you know, I'm pretty vocal.
You talked about earlier that most of the film is the footage that you guys shot now. Do you know about how much was you? Do you know certain shots are yours and stuff?
You mean mine as in all of the actors?
Yeah.
Oh, the only thing that we didn't shoot was the guy with the backwards baseball cap that was added later. Every other frame is ours.
Hi, Heather. I wanted to ask you, after I saw the movie, I was creeped out for days, and then I got very interested in reading about it and finding out, about how it was made. And when I read about how isolated you guys were and how you spent all those days out there and you received your messages by film canister, I began to wonder just how isolated were you? How much contact did you have? And did you ever reach a point when you were filming this movie you began to get, actually get scared during the course of making it, spending those nights in the woods?
Right.
What was that like?
Well, it's a day-use park, and we had to kind of shoot it during the week because the first weekend day that we had out there, you'd see little families on their mountain bikes. Somehow that took the edge off. Wait, how do we get out of here? And you cross a road periodically, and you just turn the camera off during those times. And that's what's important is that you think I suffered psychological damage during making of that film, and that means that's a job well done.
Hi Heather, I like many people, I really love the film. I'm interested to know, I heard you shot a lot of extra footage, and I'm interested to know what your favorite scene was that did not make it into the movie.
You know what was weird about this movie is that it was all shot in one take, and it was all improvised. So even when I saw What Is There for the first time last year, it was like opening your vacation pictures after you've left the film in your closet for like 6 months, and you pull it out and you get those pictures developed, and you're like, oh right, I remember that. And I don't remember half of what we shot, so I have no idea even what those other 19 and a half hours of footage looked like. I have no recollection of it whatsoever. I mean, there's I guess a few things. They cut out a few of my bitchier moments. Surprise. So there actually are even more annoying scenes. When I'm like, Mike, what the hell is wrong with you? You're They actually calmed my character down a good deal and pulled out the more sensitive and endearing moments. So, I guess I'd like to see some of those really more obnoxious times with me.
Hi, Heather.
Yes?
I have a couple questions for you. I want to tell you, I totally agree with you. There was more of a psychological thriller than a horror movie. The one scene with the, opening up the stick bundle and the little door packet was more effective than, 100 people getting slashed by Freddy or whatever.
Thank you.
But I was wondering, off camera, when you guys weren't filming, what was your chemistry like between the other actors? Was it, were you guys really kind of irritated with each other being out there together?
Oh, there were definitely times when it was hairy. I'm not here to tell you it was all like wine and roses, because it was not, Like, there were definitely times. I mean, Mike in that crew is the great mediator. I mean, Mike is the most calming, sweetest, nicest man you could ever hope to meet. He is just a doll. He's so great. But me and Josh, we had a very strong personality that go in two diametrically opposed directions. And so sometimes we would just be at each other's throats. And a lot of that came out of the stress of the situation. Like, I see him now, and we get along great. We really do.
The other thing I was wondering was all those stick, figures. Obviously, it took a lot of time and imagination. Did you guys get to see those before you went in,
No.
or was that what those were going to be? And did you know that there was going to be stick figures, or was that just all boom? Here it is, like a big shock for you guys when you came upon it?
Well, what we got was, you would always know something big was coming when your note would read something like, okay, we're going to have a big log with a sign on it. When you pass the big log with the sign, make sure the camera is on. You're about to hit something that's going to be like one of the bigger times. So, we all look at each other, we take a little break. We're like, okay, you guys ready? This is supposed to be a big one. Are we all together here? Then you go and you're like, all right, I'm feeling the fear. And you go and you check it out and you shoot it and you act it and you move on.
Yeah, I have another question about the rocks. The 3 rocks around your tent, personally, I got that was a pile of rocks for each missing student.
Right.
But, so I guess that's a coincidence. I was wondering if the 7 piles of rocks was also a coincidence, because I got out of that it was like the 7 children that Rustin Parr killed or something.
Right, yeah, I guess if it's going to have some significance, I guess that would be the significance of the rocks, absolutely.
Hi, Heather.
Hi.
I just want to commend you for being in one of the most unique movies I've ever seen.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
It almost reminded me in a way of the way Orson Welles did War of the Worlds, and everyone was just buying it.
Right.
And in fact, at the end, I had to sit and watch. These events did not really occur.
Right. Yeah, and that's a good thing. I mean, imagination is a good thing. There should be more of it, and it should be used liberally by all people, always.
Okay, but my question is, you mentioned that there has been some talk of doing more Blair Witch projects.
Right.
What would the story for those be?
I guess, from what I understand, they're going to pull it from the backstory. There is a very elaborate backstory. I mean, it could go anywhere from like costume dramas to, I mean, it could go in so many different directions. It's not like a lot of stories where it would have to be a regurgitation of exactly the Blair Witch Project again. Like if you're familiar with the comic book, as you should be, because this is Comic-Con, you should all get a copy for yourself. They have available from Oni Press. They have different stories, and like the backstory went in lots of different. There's like the Robin Weaver story and the such and such story, and lots of different historical tales of mystery and woe.
Hi Heather, I love the movie. I just wanted to ask you a couple questions. As an actor, how did you go from, what's it like being a stage actor where every night is different and you rarely get to see your own performance, to seeing yourself on the big screen where every performance is the same? What does that feel like when you first saw yourself, up on the big 30-foot screen? Well, what was going through your head?
Dizzying. It was very strange. I mean, it's the first thing that I had done film-wise that had ever been finished. I had been in lots of projects that never quite found their way to so much as a videotape. But people so it was like from the very beginning, from the very first time I saw this movie, my life just got altered. Because it went right from that first screening to Sundance, and then after Sundance, there was the onslaught of you've got to pick an agent, you've got to do this, get a manager, get a lawyer, have a family of people in nice suits around you that you never knew before. So you have, I don't know. I think that looking at the image and the performance on the big screen is not just about looking at the performance on a big screen. It's about sort of everything that comes with that, which is a lot more stunning and startling than your face is big.
All right, to kind of go along with that question, how do you keep yourself centered? Because you've gone from relative
I
anonymity
had great
to
parents.
having your panties for bid on eBay.
Yes, which are not my actual panties, by the way. Even my boyfriend said, "How'd they get your panties?" I was like, "Honey, they're not my panties." Like 2 years later, my panties resurfaced in a backpack that got returned to REI. God bless them.
Hi, Heather.
Hi.
First of all, my first thing I ever read about this was in a special Sundance issue of Premiere. And it had a huge article, and it talked about the directors rationing your food and showing you as little of them as they possibly could. And it actually psychologically, at times taking its toll on you guys. And I was wondering if any of you by chance had to have therapy after this?
No, sorry. It's, I think at any time, okay, I have stress-induced eczema. A little personal information I thought I'd share with you all today. And any time, I played a role a couple of years ago that was a very stressful situation, this Celtic queen who, her lover dies, she ends up killing herself by the end of the play. Now, by the end of that run, or by the middle of that run, my eczema was in a fury, because no matter what the situation is around you playing a role, you're always putting yourself in that as completely as possible because that's your job, you know? It's your job to just throw yourself into these fictional circumstances to the obliteration of your own ego, which makes it a very screwed up job to do, or want to do to begin with, let's face it, but hey, for some reason it chose me. And I don't think Blair Witch is any different from that in that way, that you're always throwing yourself into it, for better or for worse, and this time it just happened to be for better.
Hi. I just wanted to say that I don't think there's one actress in Hollywood that could even capture the feeling of that film anywhere near you could. I just think you're the best. But
Thank
I
you.
wanted to, did you? It's not why. I really want you to wait for something. You need to keep the way you are right now. It's
Yeah.
awesome. But I just wanted to ask, have you read the book that they released recently with the journals and stuff like that?
Yep.
There's like
I've seen parts of it.
Yeah, did you see the part where there talks about there's a hill that you climb that wasn't even there, and the house actually had burned down? I think they sort of touched on that in the documentary a little bit, that Rustin Parr's house had burned down in 1940. And my question is, what do you think the Blair Witch is? You know, not from being an actor, just from like, what do you think the Blair Witch is? Is it Ellie? What do you think it is?
I think it's probably a combination of things in the backstory. It's all of those. It's like a force in this town, you know. It's just a creepy life force that decided not to move out of Burkittsville. I don't know.
Hi, Heather. I heard that the artist that purchased the film that several other endings have been shot. Did you appear in it?
Oh, yeah, no, they did. They shot some of the goofiest stuff you could possibly imagine. Mike, like, persecuted on a stick man, like, crucified on a stick man, things like that. They didn't use any of them. The ending you see was the absolute original ending, nothing different. The only thing that was added, Mike was telling me about the movie. Pretty funny from what I understand. Good. They're great guys to hang out with, so I'm sure they had a great time doing it. But it didn't get used.
Hey Heather, I was just wondering, in the movie when you interviewed people and they were saying the killer was a guy, is there a reason that they made the witch a woman?
How do you know the witch is a woman?
Hi, Heather.
Hi.
I saw you on Jay Leno, and I thought you did a really good job. You were total natural.
Thank you.
And I was wondering what was running through your mind when you got the phone call that you were going to be on the Tonight Show on national television in Ohio.
Pretty much, oh my God, I'm going to be on the Tonight Show. it was no more complex than that. And then, you know, you're all relaxed and you're like, all right, this is not a problem. Right? And you go down there and you sit in the chair and everything's all right. You know, everything's cool. And then they bring up the TV. And that's when the whole floor starts to shake and you're like, oh my God. I had no idea it took this much to raise up that TV. And that's like when the reality of it sort of dawns on you when you're actually sitting right there and the TV is a little bit startling. It was like, that's something, you know, as an actor, even in drama school, you're sitting there and you watch that and you're like, oh, I could have done so much better than her. You know? And you're thinking, like, oh my God, she's a moron. You know? And then you finally get your shot and you're like, oh my God, there's 80 million girls in drama school getting ready to call me a moron. And if you like give into that pressure, you're just doomed. So you have to kind of like have a glass of wine and go and sit and chat on the couch. You know? It didn't hurt that Ben Stiller and Jay Leno were both like some of the nicest guys that I've met, like amazingly nice. Really.
Hi Heather. I just wanted to say that you were really great in the movie, but in one of the scenes in the movie, I'm not sure who it is, but somebody's messing with you guys' tent, and you guys all start running out, and somebody with the cameras follow right behind you, and you turn around and you said, "What the is that?"
Right, just bleeped out and
yeah. Well, what was that you were looking at? Because you don't really see it in the film.
Right. It's Josh. We had to shoot that a few times. We had a little trouble figuring out the order there, because Mike runs out first, and then it's me, and then it's Josh. So we're all shooting with our little cameras and sound things. That was a guy who is, what was his name? Ricardo Moreno, who's one of the Haxon guys. They had him dressed up. Coke. They had him dressed up in gauze and like a white suit, and he was like going like this. And that the action guys tell is that no matter how many times we shot it, he never came out on film.
Hi, Heather.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. First, I'd like to say Blair Witch scared the crap out of me.
All right, literally or figuratively?
Figure of speech.
Good.
I have a simple question. Do you meet people who are surprised to learn that you're not dead?
No, not at all. I think it's this whole thing is just incredibly flattering. I'm very happy that people are happy to see that I'm not dead. If people were displeased to find that I was not dead, those people I might have a little problem with. But as long as people are happy to see that I'm alive, it's all good.
I was wondering, with everything that happened that night, did you know that was coming or no?
We always knew something was coming. We just never knew exactly what it was going to be. Rocks or shaking or.
Hi, Heather.
Hi.
I was just curious, the final scene when you and Mike are upstairs and you're running down, Mike runs first with the camcorder, you're upstairs with 60mm. Is it because Mike has the dad strapped on his chest that you sound like you're far away, even in your own footage?
No, because the sound on that is coming from the video camera.
Okay, but it still seemed far away when you were screaming Mike, Mike, and running downstairs.
Right, because he had gone downstairs with the video camera.
I see, okay.
So the video camera was in the basement and I was screaming from upstairs.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Hi, Heather. I just want you to know that I snuck out of work to see your movie, and I lost my job, but it was worth it. I have a question anyway. No, I actually stuck out with my boss. She lost her job. The parts that we really liked were the video interviews in the beginning with the townspeople, especially the one with the mother and the small
That's one of
child.
my favorite parts of the movie.
And were those people acters and actresses?
It was a mix.
What about the mother with the small child? Because that was our favorite.
That's absolutely she's. I love her and I love the old man. Yeah.
Thank you.
They were just, those two were just people that I interviewed on the street. And it's just, looking back, there were just so many fortuitous little accidents in the making of this movie. Like, that woman, how could I have possibly gotten that kind of response out of a little babe in arms that she, that her mother, first of all, thinks she's heard of the Blair Witch, which is, not true. And then she's talking about it, the baby with the hand, and then she picks her nose and eats it. Like, that's cinematic gold. You have to just be around at the right time and watch that happen.
Hi, Heather.
Hi.
One of the best elements of the film is that we never see a critter. We never see the Blair Witch. I was wondering if there was ever any time where they were thinking maybe we need to show something to sell the movie, where they're going to stick you in a furry suit or...
They're saving that for the sequel. No, the whole concept was based on the fact that this was about your imagination. What scares you? It's like a Mad Libs horror film, You have to fill it in with your own thoughts, with your own little neuroses, whatever they may be. Your own boogeyman that hides out in your closet and under your bed, That's for you to go home and do. We don't want to make it that easy for you.
Hi, Heather.
Hi.
Two questions. The scene with the 3 rocks. Did you guys hear them pile the rocks outside? Because I don't see how you can pile
The rocks are so unusually popular today.
While you're sleeping, did you hear them pile like 150 rocks right in front of your tent?
No, I sleep like a rock. So no, we were so tired after hiking all day that they could have done pretty much whatever they wanted to us. Which is why I had that large hunting knife on my belt at all times.
And the second question, the ending scene, did they just give you a note saying you should chase each other up and down and drop the camera here, drop the camera there?
Right, well, no, basically Mike had the note my note was to follow Mike. That was my only note. And then he ran upstairs and his note was then to leave me. And so then I chased him downstairs. He was already down there. And then Ed and Dan, the directors, sort of grabbed me and they lowered the camera to the ground.
Hi, I've got a question about the confession scene.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you said it was all improvised and stuff. Did you have to do that a couple of times so that you could save it in case something was wrong with the tape, like they do in a lot of movies that they make, or was that one take?
What I did was I made it really, really long, so that there's tons of the confessional scene that wasn't even used. I just kept going until, like, so that they would have, because I really wanted them to use that, because I knew that was my money shot, let's face it. So I wanted to make sure they had plenty to work with.
Do you regret using your original name, your real name in the movie?
Probably, yeah, no. I mean, it didn't even dawn on me at the time. Now it adds so much confusion on top of where there's already confusion and there really doesn't need to be any more. You know, like, because people think I'm the character in the movie and having the same name doesn't help, and it does get a little, I do get a little tired of explaining myself. You know, it's rare that you have a situation where your movie is too believable, your performance is too believable for people to think that you're doing your job. Like, that's a little bit bizarre. I mean, it's great in a way, but it's also a little bit bizarre to have to explain.
And the second question, if they asked you to come back for a sequel, would you, or would you be afraid of turning into Jamie Lee Curtis?
Heather, were you and Mike aware that Josh was going to be leaving, or was that a surprise? And if it was a surprise, did you see him leave?
We knew that somebody was going to go because when we had gone for the callbacks, there was they pretty much gave us some of the sort of scenes that they had already worked out for the story structure. And one of them was that Mike actually disappeared initially. So I guess to change things around a little bit, they just had Mike disappear instead. So we knew somebody would have to go to sort of alter the group dynamics and to sort of keep the relationships going. So we knew somebody was going to go, but we didn't know it was going to be Josh, and we didn't know when.
Hi, let me be the first to say thank God they did not show the guy in the gauze suit. But I had a question the morning after that scene. Now, did you guys toss your own tent and slime Josh's stuff, or did someone else do that?
Oh, no, that was the Haxon guy. Yeah, KY Jelly, if you're interested. Many uses.
I just wanted to say that I thought it was a brilliant film, and I went to go see it because I wanted to support the low-budget slap in the face to Hollywood that you gave them, and I think that it was wonderful and very artistic and just really. Thank you very much.
Hello, Heather.
Hello.
I have two questions. The first being, what exactly was in the sticks? Because I really want to know.
The people who weren't here for the weekend. It was hair, blood, and teeth.
And the second was, it was kind of weird that the last shot was so clear, and I was just wondering why they did that.
The last?
The one where you were going downstairs and everything was so clear, and I thought it would have been more shaky than it was.
I don't know. I shot it. But you know, maybe because, I don't know, I was using the video camera for most of the time, and the CP16 was a lot heavier, so maybe I wasn't able to make that shaky. I don't know.
Hi, my friend and I were having a debate, I believe it was on the second night when someone had said, oh my God, I heard a baby scream. Was that children's voices we heard, and was it true that someone was actually like thumping on the outside of the tent?
Yeah, they came up, because our cue to leave was when they came up to shake the tent. So we had to be like all in order, because Mike had to leave first, then Josh, then me, or no, Mike, then me and Josh. So we were all like in position, and then when they finally came to shake the tent, that's when we all ran out.
I have two questions. First is, exactly how much time did you spend improvising? I mean, did you just say screw it and, turn off the cameras and goof off, like often?
Oh, sometimes, yeah. We had a code word actually, which was taco. So, which toward the end kind of stopped, but you know, the beginning was alright.
All right.
And we would just say taco. We all agreed on that it was a taco time, and we would stop and take a break and look out for each other. You know, spend a little time, make sure we're all okay, that nobody's, you know, sprained an ankle or anything like that. And when we were ready to go back in, we would all say scenario, which let us all know that we were on the same page and we were going back into it. So I would never turn the camera on when somebody is not wanting to have it in their face or whatever.
All right, and my second question, for the very last shot of the movie, the camera falls down and there's a brick wall, and I could swear that I saw somebody lying on the ground, just like their head and a beanie and like an arm, and some people say they see it and some people don't. I mean, is there a body lying on the ground there in the last shot? No?
I'm not, imagination is gone.
Hi, I'm having a little problem. I really loved the movie. My dad and I went and thought it was like, you know, a great movie. We're trying to convince my mother to go, but she's too scared. So I was wondering if Heather Donahue might have anything to say to convince her to go see this movie.
Show her the cover of Newsweek. We're all alive.
And this will be the last question.
Hi, Heather. I know you're, or either not saying or haven't decided what your next project is going to be, but I'm curious to know which directors and actors you'd most like to work with if you had to, if you were given your maximum choice.
Oh, there's so many. I love Alexander Payne, who did Election and Citizen Rude. I love, oh God, they're just, he's the first one that comes to the top of my head. Actors is easier. Vin Vendors would be another person who I would love to work with. Just there's so many people who just don't really, you know, aren't uber profitable people. Susan Sarandon, Kate Blanchett, Kate Winslet, God, Johnny Depp is one of my all-time favorites. Like, there are just so many people out there that I have so much admiration for, especially people who've been able to do it their own way, like Jodie Foster. You know, there's just people who do it to the best of their ability on their own terms. They're the people that I respect and admire.
Okay, folks, for those of you who have yet to see the movie, we have a 3-minute trailer for you to view. So sit tight, we're going to dim the lights and we're going to pop this in. Give a round of applause to Miss Heather Donahue.
Heather, can I get your purple ring? Don't be a witch, it's my girlfriend's birthday.
Oh wow, I'm never ever gonna get that shot. No way.
Yeah, they said you could come up here and get a shot.
One shot? Alright.
Summit says everything I need exists. I just have to get permission. Okay. They love the idea.
One over 2 months ago.
Excuse me. You have that down there?
Yeah, people went up in
Down there, go with that.
Oh, please. I would love to be in that church. But I would love to be even a little bit famous. Moments like this.
There you go.
Press the button.
It'll autofocus, yeah.
You're cool.
Do it now. Nikki, do it now while you have it straight up.